Welcome to the BDSM podcast. So, the booze, desserts, smoke, and meats. We are back again for another episode.
Yeah,
I am Professor Porkloin, and this is my lovely co host.
the meat Viking. And let's hope that the overseers of the internet are kind to us today, because last episode was not fun editing.
Yeah, and internet problems certainly killed our vibe a little bit. But on a good news, then, I mean, at least this one we can kind of make a part two.
Yes.
So, foodies, we are going to continue our discussion with coffee.
Hmm.
Last episode, we kind of talked a little bit about some history, things like that. But now we're going to tell you how we can relate it to, different foods, different booze, things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to get some good stuff here.
Yeah,
So since this is a new episode, we got to come up with a safe word.
it's true.
So what do you think the safe word should be for today?
Spice.
Spice. Okay.
Yeah. Because if you combine the episodes together, you get nut spice. And it's Valentine's Day when this is being recorded.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, I guess spice could be the word. We really should just come up with a bowl of stuff and then just pick one instead of sitting there.
Like I had that idea a long time ago, and
Yeah, I
then
really
I
think
was
we should
like,
probably do it.
yeah, we should probably do it. But
Well, the other thing that we got to do then is what's in your cup too.
I don't have any alcohol on me right now. We are recording fairly early in the morning.
What are you talking about? This is afternoon.
Well, I had to get up super early this morning. So I
Oh,
have a ginger brew monster.
oh, okay. Well, I had some leftover orange juice and some leftover beer, so I decided to make myself a lunchbox. I don't know if you ever had those before.
No,
People
it sounds like the poor man's mimosa.
basically is, yeah. So you take regular beer like Bud Light, Miller Light, whatever you want. I usually use Bud Light or something very similar. You get some orange juice, and then you get some amaretto.
Okay.
Pour a couple shot and a half of the amaretto, full beer, and then the rest with OJ, and it's a poor man's mimosa essentially. So,
Poor man's mimosa. God, I like the sound
yep,
of that.
it's good. It's light.
Well, I mean, like, amaretto ain't ain't shit. Like I could eat a tub of amaretto flavored ice cream and be okay.
Blah, oh god.
Might get a cavity or three, who knows? But like OJ's not bad, and then just some beer. You
Yeah,
got a good staple right there.
it's not a bad deal, man.
No, dude. Hell, throw some
So
hot sauce in there. That's like my typical lunch.
I don't know if that would taste good at all. That sounds gross.
You're probably right.
But coffee or cafe, coffee, whatever you want to call it.
Coffee. Oh,
So again, last week we kind of talked about the history, things like that. So this week we have a couple different things. You want to lead us off on alcohol because you did some research on some alcoholic drinks that kind of fit with coffee, right?
I sure did. And I think the it would be wrong of us not to start off with the staple here, and that is your traditional Irish coffee.
True.
Super simple to make. 1 cup of freshly brewed hot coffee. Come behind that with a tablespoon of brown sugar. Do 1.5 ounces of an Irish whiskey. I like mine with Jameson, but really you can use whatever. And then just do some heavy cream that's slightly whipped, and you got yourself a elegant looking drink that is delicious. And then if you're really feeling special, one thing you can do is on top of that cream, come behind it with like some shaved chocolate, just make it look extra nice. Good good drink right there.
So I normally, whenever I heard of Irish coffee, was always with the Baileys, or not Baileys, the Jameson,
Yep.
right? And so, but have you had it with anything else before? Have you ever had it with other types of whiskeys?
I think I've done it with bourbon before. Here's
Yeah.
actually a recipe for Bushmills Irish coffee. and
Okay.
it's literally the same recipe. It's just used Bushmill's original Irish whiskey. Um,
Interesting.
Let me see this one.
Because I mentioned it earlier was the Bailey's, but Bailey's Irish cream coffee is another one that you can kind of do
Hmm.
with a coffee drink. You know, essentially you just replace the whiskey with Bailey's in that recipe because you'll have your whipped cream and everything. You'll have your little cinnamon or whatever drizzle you want to put on top of it. But that is also another sweet coffee drink if you're gonna wind up spicing it up a little bit.
And if you don't want to drink something hot with the stuff in it, we found a recipe that involves 8-ounce cup of coffee that's been cooled, and it recommends using strong coffee here, right? Take a half a cup of heavy cream. Now it's going to get a little heretical here. Come behind that with an ounce of tequila and then half ounce of coffee liquor. Now, if I'm mixing tequila in here, I think my coffee liquor choice is I'd have to go with Kahlua. And
Probably,
then
yeah.
and then I would it says do some whipped cream for topping.
So you're gonna make yourself a little Mexican coffee then?
I
'Cause
don't know if I have any tequila here, but maybe I will. 'Cause I can get cheap tequila anywhere, and I know I've got Kahlua here. So,
um, other ones too. I've seen Tia Maria's with the Spanish coffee. So same thing. I mean, you're basically replacing the liquor. You're
hmm
gonna wind up using your coffee as your base. You're gonna put your liquor, and then you're gonna have your whipped cream, chocolate drizzle, whatever. So the only one that I haven't I've tried the Tia Maria with the Spanish coffee. I've tried the Mexican one. I have not had a Don Juan before, which for someone who really loves rum, I would probably enjoy this. But essentially, you take rum with your Kahlua, and then your coffee and your whipped cream on top. And it's got to be dark rum though. It can't be spiced. So I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll get the hankering to actually give that a try. So, but coffee is pretty versatile when you're looking at how you can just change out alcohol. So
hmm
we've gone from tequila to rum to whiskey to coffee liqueur. You know what? Just mix whatever you feel for that day, and just make sure there's some whipped cream in there, and you're good to
hmm
go.
Well, so while you were talking about your rant about yo Don Juan that you haven't tried, which get on that because I think that'd be a good one. I was looking up a bourbon recipe style here just to see if they did anything different. And if you guys remember from the last podcast that we did, I had mentioned that I like some hazelnut flavored coffee. Well, this takes 1 part Maker's Mark bourbon, 1 part Irish cream, splash that with hazelnut schnapps liquor from De Kuyper, hot coffee, and then garnish with some whipped cream. And they call that a Kentucky coffee.
Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course it's Kentucky because I mean, bourbon capital of the U.S. There.
Well, isn't Maker's Mark also made in Kentucky?
Yeah, all of that bourbon is made in Kentucky.
So you know
Yeah.
what? Like, I don't know if I'm just fat and hungry, but the photos they got up on these things almost look like pumpkin pie or like butterscotch in a cup.
Yeah, if you ever drive through Kentucky, they've got like the Bourbon Trail Highway, and
hmm
essentially you just drive right through, and you'll just see distillery after distillery after distillery.
Hmm.
So
Well, I think that's a fairly good footnote on the booze topic of things. But I know you've been our practitioner of the dessert side of things. How about you drop some knowledge on us with that?
yeah, so there's a couple different desserts that you can add with coffee that are pretty pillar when it comes to that type of category. So, really, desserts are going to be sweet. You might have some of those savory ones, but I kind of did some research on some of those. And one of the first ones, I mean, you got to go with the affogato. I mean, it's an Italian espresso dessert. So, you essentially take your ice cream, take your espresso, and just pour the espresso right on top of it. It takes a little bit; it's going to melt, but um, it's certainly really easy to do, and it's really cool for a dinner party. It's a lot of people will drink it. You can even have it on a weeknight if you want, and it definitely is something that I have had before. So, um, pretty recommended for you guys if you wanted to check that out. Uh, Tiramisu is another cake that's definitely got coffee in it. It's one of those pick me up desserts. Essentially you're just gonna saturate the ladyfingers, or if you have angel food cake, that's fine too. But ladyfingers are usually the main one on that. With coffee and booze, and typically you're gonna create that coffee liqueur and just top the crap out of it with some cinnamon.
Mm.
So I actually looked at a couple other ones. You can do flan. Add espresso to your custard on that one and have a coffee flan. I've seen ones where you can do it with brownies. Essentially you're pairing that chocolate and the coffee together, which I mean those two go hand in hand because that goes with another one, chocolate covered espresso beans or coffee beans. I know that there's a couple coffee joints, and didn't isn't there one up by you? Doesn't Big B do that? Don't they have coffee beans that they give on top of their lattes or cappuccinos?
Um, I think some of them that they do, but I haven't been to a Big B in a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute for me too. I knew there was a coffee shop where I grew up that did that. That if you ordered a latte or a cappuccino or even a regular coffee, they'd give you that to go cup, and right on top of it would be one of those chocolate covered coffee beans or chocolate covered espresso bean. And it was kind of cool because the heat would kind of steam it a little bit, and it would melt the chocolate just enough so it would kind of stick. But um, my mom would always get coffee, or my sister would get coffee, and they'd always have those on there. So, but coffee is also pretty good when it comes to meringues. I mean, super easy to just throw a little bit of some coffee in there and get those peaks going. Ice cream. I mean, you can't go wrong with coffee flavored ice cream.
Yep.
Simply just make your normal stuff like a vanilla ice cream, and then throw in a little bit of some coffee on that one, and boom. And ice cream is one of those easy things. If you have a bunch of ice and you can shake the crap out of it, if you got some young kids that you want to use as
Tire
your
out.
child, yeah, use as your child labor and tire them out, just tell them, here, shake this, kid, and just keep the ice with the rock salt and everything going there,
Hmm.
and you got yourself some coffee ice cream. I don't even
Co-
think about that, but that's still pretty funny.
Coffee ice cream is one of my favorite ice creams, actually.
Oh yeah.
Um, there's something I get from it's a place called Tropical Smoothie Cafe, and they make smoothies like your veggie smoothies, your fruit smoothies, like your healthier food kind of stuff.
Okay.
But they have one that's got coffee in it and like a cappuccino flavoring and chocolate, and that is my go-to when I order from there. Now, you listed off a couple of really good recipes here, and I would recommend everybody trying them out, especially if you're a coffee fan. But I discovered something, and remind me if you talked about this or not. But carrot coffee cake.
Did not talk about that one, but man, I feel like you need to kind of elaborate on this.
So, from what it looks like, it's coffee cake, but it's fairly simple to make. You're gonna want to make your cake, your streusel, and then of course, like your vanilla drizzle on top. Your ingredients are just some vegetable oil, some granulated sugar, 1 large egg, baking powder, salt, cinnamon, flour, milk, and then 2 cups of shredded carrots. Make sure you grit your own. Don't do pre-shredded. And then that's for the cake. For the streusel, you've got your brown sugar, flour, cinnamon, melted butter, walnuts or pecans if you want. And then for your drizzle, you're going to do some powdered sugar, vanilla extract, and heavy whipping cream. Preheat all that, mix, stir together, bada bing, bada boom. You know how to make a coffee cake now.
So where's the carrot coffee? Like, what's all that coming into it? Is that part of the cake mix?
Yes, you get your carrots in the cake mix, right? And it looks like you're getting the coffee from your flavoring of like brown sugar and cinnamon.
Okay.
Let's see.
I think that would taste pretty good. I mean, I like carrot cake, and I like coffee cake. But sometimes you put 2 and 2 together, and it's not always the best.
Yeah.
So
it's like I say, dude, sometimes 3 bananas is too many for a smoothie.
Yeah, and I think that would probably taste good, coffee carrot cake. But I mean, I'd also have to think and sit that I've had carrot cake before, and I've had coffee cake, and I'm like, do they really go together?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, when I think of a coffee cake, I don't necessarily get the flavor from the coffee. I get like that texture, and it's very crumbly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like carrot cake, it's just delicious. Like it's got like that nice texture where it's not like too dry or too moist, but it's like kind of a in between. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. There was always this deli that my grandparents would pick up in New Jersey outside Union. And whenever they'd come up for the Sunday or weekend or whatever, they'd pick up a bunch of coffee cakes and they'd bring them up. And they were freaking awesome. But again, I just don't see the 2 and 2, but it probably tastes good. It probably tastes fine. I mean, there's a lot of coffee desserts out there that you can totally eat. So it's got to be someone made it.
Like, it's got to be okay. For those of you who do want to try this recipe, just I got it from Crazy for Crust. They also have a peanut butter coffee cake with chocolate chips in here, chocolate chip style streusel.
See, I feel like that's better because, I mean, the chocolate and the coffee are going to combine. I mean, that's usually good. And then peanut butter. Like, who the hell doesn't like peanut butter?
Right? So, be a couple of nice things to check out here. Once again, that we pulled this from the Crazy for Crust website.
Well, what we should do one of these episodes then is show a product of one of these things and be like, look, here's a coffee cake that we made.
Yeah, I agree. It's just been lately with my fucking hours, and I'm sure you're got a bunch of shit going on that dude, I get home and like I'm almost so exhausted that I don't even want to make ramen noodles. Just like
I know the desserts and the drinks are certainly easy enough, but I feel like we need to talk about our third thing when it comes to coffee, and that is pairing it with meat. Yes. I feel like this is a perfect pair, to be honest with you. I like the booze and I like the desserts, but if you're looking at meat, I think coffee is the one that's going to take this. So I know from around the country, I mean, barbecue is certainly life, especially where I'm at down in the South, so, but apparently there's some people in the Midwest that tend to do the same thing and use coffee with meat. That they use, I think what you were researching a little bit of is using coffee grounds or using coffee as a rub.
Actually, I got a rub here recipe to make your own homemade rub. And they recommend if you want to add like a slicey, spicy flavor to your meat, and it's great for barbecue and great for grilling. You're going to take 2 tablespoons of coarse salt, 2 tablespoons of instant coffee, 2 tablespoons garlic powder, 2 tablespoons smoked paprika, tablespoon of regular pepper, tablespoon of crushed coriander, tablespoon of onion powder, tablespoon of chili powder, and half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Mix it all into a bowl. Use a fork to crush any clumps in the seasonings, and you can store that in an airtight container for up to a month.
So coffee grounds can be used as a rub, okay, with any type of meat. So you can do it typically with steak or chicken. But the reason why it's such a good thing is because coffee is acidic. So it acts just kind of like wine. And I know that there's been a couple people that use wine as some of their marinades. So with this rub too, I mean, it's going to be great because it acts like a spice as well. So it's really cool because the coffee grounds or the coffee is gonna be best paired when you mix it with other spices. So especially in barbecue, you know, adding coffee to a barbecue rub is just gonna make that 10 times more. You're gonna get that kind of sweet and savory crust that kind of seals in all that moisture, so you can get that nice little red ring depending on what you're doing. Um, so in barbecue terms, I don't know if you've done that or if you've done any smoking, you know, it's called the bark.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That
but
don't
it certainly, yeah, it certainly enhances the meat though and the flavor. The other thing that coffee does, and this is kind of very similar with like soda. So it was funny because I moved down south and people use Dr. Pepper in just about everything. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the recipes that I got from my mother-in-law was talking about using a roast, and in the crock pot, you just throw in a can or two of Dr. Pepper and let that kind of soak up with all of your spices. Well, the same thing can be for coffee. You can let it marinate in meat for 24 hours with all your spices, and then boom, now you've got the acidity level from the coffee, you've got all the enzymes in the coffee, and you got your spices, that it's going to make that nice and tender, so that when you finally, you know, hit that onto the grill, or if you're putting it in the oven, it will it will elevate that next meal that you have. So if you don't believe any of this stuff, again, just try it. Try to find a recipe that deals with coffee, either as a rub or where you brew it yourself and then pour it into a crock pot. And I can guarantee you that it's going to change your life on that one, because I have definitely done that before.
That sounds so good, man. So good. See,
So,
I haven't experimented too much with adding coffee to my meat flavorings, but I think I'm going to give that a shot because that sounds too damn good to pass up.
so are you going to do a rub or are you going to do the tenderizer, the marinade?
I think I'm gonna do the rub first, just because the rub's easier.
True. I mean, you can put all those spices that you had earlier,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, and then wind up just rubbing that into your meat. Make
Right.
sure you rub it real good, man.
Yeah, gotta rub your meat good.
And then I guess you could, the coffee will be easier because you just brew it and then find something that you want to do for the next day so you can sit and marinate for a while.
Yep. So I had
Yeah,
heard about somebody using a coffee seasoning for potatoes.
that sounds pretty good.
Let's see if I can pull that up real quick.
I would definitely be okay with that.
Coffee, coffee salt crusted roast potatoes. Um, Preheat your oven to 475. Spray cast iron pan with nonstick cooking spray. Bro, just throw some butter in that bitch. Like that's okay. In a medium bowl, mix kosher salt, ground coffee, and 1 tablespoon of rosemary. Add some brewed coffee and mix thoroughly. The salt mixture should get sticky like a wet cement. Pour it over mashed potatoes. Pour salt mixture over potatoes, making sure to completely cover the potatoes pat the salt down to form an, an even crust over the potatoes. Make sure they're all covered. Bake for 45 to 50 minutes. Move, let stand for 10. And then with a mallet, you crack that salt crust and remove as much of that hard salt away as possible. And then you remove the hot potatoes and you just toss that with butter and then some rosemary.
I almost feel like you could probably get a little creative with some of that stuff too. You
Mm-hmm.
know, maybe boil your potatoes within coffee.
Yep.
That would seem pretty cool. Or get some of that rub and maybe get a nice little um, char on your potatoes with that
Mm-hmm.
rub. So there's a lot of things that you can do.
Yeah. And I think that there's one more thing that we need to fill up here, and that
What's
is
the
for our smokers out there. They do make coffee infused cigars.
well, then I'll let you kind of elaborate on that one since you're more of the smoke aficionado than I am.
So the brand that got me is the Drew Estate Java brand. Drew Estate's one of my favorite cigar makers. And one day I was in a cigar shop looking, and I saw that he had these new cigars out called Java. And if you've smoked a Drew Estate cigar before, you know you're in for a lot of flavor. And I would recommend picking up a sampler for this because you're going to get two cigars of each here. You're going to get your latte, a Maduro, and mint, all in the same size, and they're just like it. If you want to go out and just smoke a cigar, and it be either morning or early morning, or late at night, you should just kind of winding down. I would recommend trying one of these. They also have a Drew Estate Red, Java Red, which combines cherries with subtle notes of dark cocoa and coffee. Um, Supposedly a very sweet aroma behind that, which I would automatically put with that. And it's kind of got like a very robust espresso feel to it.
Okay.
I haven't tried the red brand yet, just because I haven't seen it, but I have tried the Maduro, the mint, and the latte. And whenever I see one of those brands in a cigar shop, I will pick one up.
Okay. I feel like this can also be done the same way. Remember, we were talking about pairing the cigars with different styles of alcohol, right? We were talking about rum and whiskey and bourbon, and um, I think you can probably do the same thing with coffee
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna see a lot of the same type of things, right? You're gonna walk into that room, you're gonna smell the coffee, you're gonna smell the cigar smoke, and I think those aromas are kind of gonna combine with your senses. So I think that's a pretty cool way to look into how you can pair these up and different blends too. I think the different variations of coffees probably can give you a good ones with your cigars too.
Yeah, buddy.
So, that seems pretty interesting to think about how coffee can do that with smoke.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that coffee's become such a staple and so popular over the years that they're like, I bet we can do this, and I bet it could taste good. And then they went for it, and I can confirm it does taste good.
Yeah, see, I've never smoked a cigar while having a cup of coffee or having anything related to that. So I I can only assume that you would get that flavoring from whatever type of tobacco and then whatever style of coffee you decide to have. I mean, I would think an espresso would be a little different than getting like an americano or some type of just regular black coffee, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then even if you look at like cappuccinos or lattes where they have more of the milk, which I don't know if I would want to do that one because I feel like that's a little too much foam, and then you're smoking the cigar. You know, I think
Yeah.
you'd have to stick with espresso, you know, black coffee or some type of variation of that
You're
because it
not gonna
might
get
just
like
clog up your stuff.
you're not gonna get like a venti vanilla bean Starbucks, you know, and then smoke one of these, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would probably not be a good experience for your coffee or your cigar. You know,
Right.
I want to enjoy both of them.
Mhm.
And so, well, cool. I don't know, man. Do you got anything else to kind of talk about with this coffee? I think we kind of hit some of the good stuff.
Man, I think that I think we hit it. So
Cool.
yeah, buddy.
All right. Well, I guess we can close today's episode off with, you know, hey, enjoy your coffee. Enjoy it many different ways, either smoking, tenderizing it for your meat, making it sweet with some type of dessert, or even just getting a little tipsy and having some alcohol with it. Try it many different ways because there's tons of ways to enjoy it. And let us know what you think with what your favorite recipe or what your favorite coffee themed thing is.
Hmm. I might have to go and see if I can treat myself to a Valentine's Day cigar.
And make sure you brew yourself some coffee while you're at it.
Right. Well, foodies, I believe this is a good close to this episode. I've been the Meat Viking.
And this is Professor Porkloin, aka Dr. Chef Hubs. Haven't said that in a while, so
All right. Later, foodies.
signing off.